This week, we're gonna be looking at how to tree climb like Tarzan. We've got some nice thick limbs. So my attention is shifting back and forth. How well are my hands gonna grip when I jump? Hey guys, welcome back to Evolve Move Play. This week we're going to be looking at, once again, how to tree climb like Tarzan, and we're going to be looking at what happens once we get all the way up into the canopy and the types of movement that we have available for us in the canopy. This is one of my favorite spots here in Seattle. These are Portuguese laurel trees, which form really interesting canopies. So I can go from tree to tree to tree in a really tight bundle, and it opens up a lot of really interesting movement. So we can look at why this particular canopy super good for moving around in, and how it kind of opens up and invites us to move really like an ape, like Tarzan, in the trees. So what we've got is we've got some nice thick limbs with space in between them, and the spaces are kind of wide enough to make it easy for a human body to move through, while they're still narrow enough that they're also easy for a human body to move through. So they're not super tight, but you can easily put your hands on things, put your feet on things all through the space. There's some nice gaps. The other thing that's really cool about it is there's a lot of variation in how the limbs are shaped and moving around, which creates opportunities for unique ways of moving through the space and really stretches us out and allows us to examine lots of different movement potentials. So I'm going to now move up into the tree and show you guys some of how we move in this particular environment. So we've talked about how to move up using narrow vertical trunks. So this one is just a short, narrow vertical trunk ascent into a really basic, easy climb up, as we've talked about in our how to get into the trees, how to climb up videos. So I'm just starting here. I've got these two trunks, grabbing the back here, stepping up. Now I've got the first limb here, up, second limb. Then it's like a climb up and mount over the top. Now I'm in the canopy. I've got my feet on a branch, I've got my hands on branches, and I can start moving around the same way that a gibbon or an orangutan moves as they are exploring the canopy of the forest. This is the real Tarzan stuff for me. So let's talk a little bit about what I'm actually doing up here. I think a lot about the difference between like discrete techniques and sort of generalized movement principles or kind of things that we're working on. So for instance, if I grab this limb and swing and land there, that's a discrete technique that is recognized in parkour and that you'll find in many different environments. That could be from a bar to a wall, from a tree branch to a wall. It's a really simple sagittal movement, right? Now, on the other hand, when I do this and I reach through and grab, this is really dependent on the specific architecture of the environment here. So it's harder to come up with like a lot of specific instructional content around that, but I want to think about and offer you guys sort of what I'm looking for or what I'm doing. The first important point is start really slow, right? Obviously, I can move very dynamically in this environment, but that's built off of really understanding what the environment offers me and tolerates. Like how much of my weight can these branches take? How far out can they take it? How well are my hands gonna grip when I jump and swing through these things? And there's certain things that are gonna occur over and over again, right? So fundamentally, in some sense, we're working with walking or running patterns. So I'm reaching my foot. Now I'm stepping across. And this can be a stem or something, but then I'm also coordinating with my arms. So when we're used to walking or running on the ground, usually our arms are just reciprocating our hands. But here, we're moving back and forth between moving the legs and moving the hands. So my attention is shifting back and forth. So I just put this foot placement here Now I have my hand placement. My hand placement, now I'm gonna make a foot placement. I'm swinging my body through. I'm reaching for my hand. So my attention here is gonna be on my hand first. But as soon as I have my hand, now I'm reaching and thinking about my foot. And then it's hand, and then it's foot. So this kind of reciprocation of hand and foot and hand and foot, hand and foot is a big part of what's unique about moving in these kinds of environments. So we need to be able to shift our attention well, and we're gonna learn that and how to feel comfortable with that and not make errors by doing it very slowly to start with. One of my favorite movements I explored here is I get to this little gap, I come up, I step through, and now I'm reaching through and grabbing. Now I'm suspended between these two hanging points, and I can swing my feet to the other side. This is very much the type of movement we see in apes. Obviously, there's the type of thing you see in a Tarzan movie. It's what would be called quadrimanous or four-handed movement in primate locomotion terminology. And there's a beautiful spot for it. This is the type of spot you want to look for and find various ways to move through it. So I can take this very statically. So that's more of a orangutan style, but then we can take the same route and we can speed it up and start adding dynamics to it. It's got a nice little swing to precision there. So now from this same spot, I can just start exercising my dynamic movement. I can jump dynamically, move through, catch, boom, step, swing. Whoo. So I've got really narrow takeoff into a narrow landing. So when we do cat leaps in the city, usually we're going to a flat wall. Here I'm in a cat leap and I've got a rounded tree branch. Ooh. Got a little stuck there. Oh, that's a nice transition. Yay, found a transition out. Ooh. Woo. So fundamentally, we're working with stepping, right? I'm balancing here. Now I can just balance on this limb free, boom, boom, and sometimes then I have to do that. But I've got the option of using my hands now to secure me. And so I have to shift my attention between my hands and my feet. And then essentially I'm reaching and pulling across. This is actually beginning to create the shoulder mechanics that we're going to use when we brachiate and hang and swing from our hands. So when I'm here, I can swing into this spot. And that basic action of using my hands to pass my body over my feet is a really common pattern that we're going to be working with. So you can look for opportunities to do that and find really fun and interesting ways to do that and be really developmental of the basics of brachiation, but also being able to move your body comfortably through this kind of space. So I'm going to show you guys that one more time. So I can do it nice, we'll call it orangutan style, really slow, making sure my big body's safe in this tree, From here, I need to get my body over my feet. I'm gonna let go with one hand, reach through, and now I've got this hold on one hand, hold on the other, and now this hand's ready to reach for the next thing. Through. One more time. I want you guys to see how I'm locomoting through the tree using these different ways that my body works. So nice and slow from here, reaching through, and I'm already there, ready to grip and move. So it's not precisely a discrete technique in the way an underbar or a Kong vault is, because it feels different every time you do it. But these basics of being able to reach, being able to squat, being able to move through, having precise footwork, stepping, crouching down, lunging, and crawling and balancing through the trees are the type of things that you can then start to really play with and cultivate when you're up in these canopies. And as you get more and more confident with it, yeah, you can start flowing really powerfully. And it's really the origin of all parkour skills comes from our ability to move agilely in this kind of environment.